If you followed us for very long, then you know that we really like sonic tools. Now, there's several reasons for that. One of those is we've been using them for years with no problems. In fact, we've had the S10 box, I think, for like 5 years now. We've had this new S15 box for several months now. We use their tools for everything from tearing apart engines to working on chassis to you name it, it gets used, it gets hammered on, it gets impact wrenches thrown at it. So everything you'd use in just a hardcore mechanic scenario, that's what we use our sonic tools for. Even this bench top here is all nice and scarred up from motors being thrown on it, worked on, transmission fluid getting all over it. You name it, it's been done to, even though it's a few months old. We try to pretty it up every time we do a video, but it's just what it is. It's a workbench for us, and it holds up very well. Their toolboxes are built excellent. I mean, they are sturdy. They're made out of one-piece metal and then folded up together. Again, we got into that in our other S15 toolbox review, where we were kind of reviewing all the tools and everything in the S15. So if you want to see that, you can see it there in the S15 review video. But their boxes are made really well. Their tools the same way. Very good quality, as well as, and I really think this is what sets them apart, quality control. And what do I mean by that? Well, I can tell you I've reviewed I don't know how many, 100 piece, 200 piece, 400 piece, 500 piece mechanic sets of tools. And typically when I'm reviewing those big sets like that, you can almost always find a bit or a socket that hasn't been finished milling. So the milling's incomplete on it, whether it be on the fastener side, where the socket's not completely milled, or maybe even not milled at all, just almost like a blank that's been chrome plated. I've also found several where the anvil goes into the socket itself and it hasn't been milled. But I can tell you that there's not been one sonic tool, whether it be sockets, bits, ratchets, screwdrivers, you name it, that has had any flaws in it whatsoever. And again, I attribute that to quality control. So that's a lot of times what sets the difference, is not necessarily can they make a tool, but do they make the tool, and do they have the quality control there to make sure that duds aren't making it out of the factory, if you will, and getting to the end user. Now, they're also lifetime warranty. So you get German engineered tools that are made throughout Europe, that are not made in China, that are distributed here in the US, and they have a lifetime warranty. Now, their warranty, again, lifetime, and you don't have to wait for a tool truck to come around. Basically, you send them an email, they ship you a new tool, you box up the old tool in that box if they request it. If it's, say, a socket, they're probably not even going to ask for it back. But anyway, but you get the new tool before you have to put your old one back in it. You slap the label that's in there back on it and send it back to them. That's typically like a 2-day turnaround for Sonic. So you're not waiting around for a tool truck. You're not having to go to a store. Just a quick email and you're getting your new tool. So very good warranty on this as well. And again, that's a lifetime warranty on these. Now, like I mentioned, not too long ago, we looked at the S15 box review. So looking at the complete toolbox with the 958 piece set that you can get with it. And then we looked at their ratchets and kind of what their ratchets are built on and how they look. And then we looked at their wrenches as well. So we kind of dove deep into the Sonic wrenches. Today, we're going to be talking about specifically their sockets, kind of their line of sockets, the breadth of the line and what they offer, as well as the quality of them and kind of what sets them apart, how they look, how they feel, how they're labeled, and so forth. So let's take a deeper look. So all the Sonic sockets are made with very good quality, and you can see that just in the workmanship of the sockets when you actually pick them up, when you use them. So very good quality stuff. As I mentioned, we've been using these for years without any flaw whatsoever, as well as we've never warrantied anything either. I think I've got one universal extension that needs it's flopping around just a little loose, but again, that's years of use and beating on it and everything else. Probably even a few impacts on it, on a chrome one. Anyway, so here's a couple here. Number one, let's start off with their spark plug socket. And so you'll notice instead of the rubber boot in there, you've got the metal fingers to actually hold that spark plug in place. So you're not going to pull that rubber boot out of there. It's also not going to create that suction and actually, be too hard to get off, if you will. So those metal fingers are going to grab that spark plug, be able to pull it out, and you're not going to have any issues. You'll also see the reliefs cut out here in the sockets on the 6-point, so that it's actually allowing the sides of these, the flats of the socket to actually grab the fastener, so you're not putting all that pressure on the corner where you can potentially strip a fastener. So we got those reliefs cut in there. I think all the tool companies used to have their own separate names for what that is. But again, I'm just going to call it reliefs in the corner, and you can see where they're milled in there, where those corners actually expand kind of beyond where the point would be. That again is not going to grab the point of that fastener. It's going to allow the sides of that fastener, which are where there's much more real estate, or the sides of that, the flats of that socket, to grab the flats of that bolt or nut or whatever the fastener is. Even though they're 12-point design, again, you can see quality in these where even down the throat where there's a lot of milling out down there, it's not closed up where it's going to not allow you to get on, say, a longer bolt to get to that nut. So you've got a lot of clearance inside that socket. You'll also notice that they don't do a chrome plating. Now, I asked Sonic about that, and they specifically said the reasons why. Said, number one, chrome is a plating. So when you're chrome plating something, it is a plating. So it's taking up real estate. It's a thickness that you have to deal with, as well as it's another point of possible corrosion in between the actual chrome vanadium steel and the actual chrome plating. So they don't see any reason why. The chrome vanadium is already resistant to corrosion and resistant to rust. So the chrome vanadium steel itself is going to hold up very well. And they do quite a good job of doing kind of a bright finish on it. So it's not a chrome, and you can't see yourself in it, if you will, but still a bright finish, as well as I like the fact that they're embossing or engraving the numbers in there on the socket where you can actually read the size. They're not doing the laser like you see here. So actually they are on some of these. So on the wheel socket here, and we'll get into that in just a moment, I don't care for that because that rubs off over time. It just does. But for the most part, on all their big socket sets, this is what you get: is you get the engraved sockets where it's actually got the size of the socket actually embedded or embossed or engraved, whatever you want to call that, stamped into the steel itself to where you can easily read that, and over time that is not going to wear off. There's even a little bit of knurling there on the socket as well where you can grab that. Now looking at there, this is actually let me grab this one first. So this is one of their impact sockets, and again it has the engraving in there, and you can't really see it well. I played with doing some paint in those and then wiping them off, or using heat crayons, things like that. There's different things that you can do where you can actually read those. But again, when they're in the Sonic drawer, you can easily read on the drawer itself. But again, that's not going to wear off. This is their 1/2-inch impact socket, and again, same milling there exists. Only difference between the regular socket and these, chrome vanadium on their regular sockets and on their impact sockets is chrome moly. Now, understand one thing: chrome moly is not harder than chrome vanadium. Actually, chrome vanadium's harder, but the problem is supposedly chrome vanadium likes to turn into shrapnel, break apart, if you will, where the chrome moly is a little softer and doesn't shatter like chrome vanadium does. So that's why you see most of your impact sockets are made of either CR440 or chrome moly. These are CRMO, which is chrome moly. I'm not sure exactly which chrome moly. There's several different recipes, if you will, but they are chrome moly steel, and they're warranted for a lifetime. Now, this is actually out of our older box. It's like 5 years old, and this is their 3/4-inch impact sockets, and it does have the old laser etching on it, which again I don't care for because those wear off over time. But again, when they're in their socket drawer, you're not going to mind because they're going to be labeled there on the drawer as well. But you'll notice even where the anvil goes in is where they have some milling as well on the corners. So they're even allowing the flats of the anvil to do the work and not wear out the corners. So they even take careful consideration to actually mill those corners as well, so you're not going to have a problem with trying to get your anvil in there, especially when you get the bigger sizes and when you get in those impact wrenches, trying to get these sockets on and off. That can be a pain sometimes. And they're ready for a pin detent. So you can put your pin and your O-ring on here, or you can use it with your bullnose or your split ring or your ring style impact as well. So they're ready for pin detents. Actually, once you get into bigger sizes, most of the time they are pin detent. And then getting into their wheel sockets here. So their wheel sockets, again, chromoly steel because they're ready for impacts. They are laser etched on these. Again, I'm not crazy about that because it wears off, but not going to worry about that because this is a wheel socket. And again, your Sonic set's going to have it labeled anyway. The Teflon, the PTFE, I'm assuming this is PTFE, basically a Teflon coating. That's going to protect your wheels. So when you're taking off those expensive wheels off of whether it be European cars, whether it be the on four-wheel drive trucks and the money that's spent on wheels nowadays, you want to take extra precaution in taking off those lug nuts, and that's what this PTFE sleeve is going to do, is protect that surrounding of that wheel of that lug nut from hurting those fasteners or hurting the wheel itself. And the PTFE actually will rotate on here as well as it's going to slide easy once it's in the hole for that lug nut. So really nice wheel sockets that comes in their kits as well. And you can see each one of them are different color coded depending on the size. So not only do you not need to read it, you can actually just look at colors and see that as well. That one's got a clear cover on it. So each of them are going to designate for different things. 21 millimeter, 22 millimeter, and so forth that's a 15. So that's a pretty small lug right there. Then getting into their extensions. So I really like their extensions, number one, because they're made well. I haven't broke one, haven't twisted one, beat on them pretty good as well. Also, they have the hex here at the top, so I can put a wrench on that. If I need a little help, I can put a wrench on it, or if I'm in a space where maybe I can't get my ratchet in there, I can put a wrench on that and be able to turn that fastener. Again, very quality made. Chrome vanadium steel, the knurling here where I can grip that even with a greasy finger, and the milling and the quality control is just great on these. All the ball detents work really well, they hold really well, but at the same time they snap off or come off the sockets. And again, as we were talking about with the anvils and the milling here, where the anvil goes into the extension. Their socket bits, same thing. So you get your chrome vanadium steel in the base, and you get your chromoly as part of the business end, if you will, that's doing all the impacting or the actual turning of the fastener. Again, you look at even these ball Allens, and very good milling on these. No issues of corners being cut or anything else. Good flexibility there when it's in the Allen head or when it's in the hex head fastener, that you get some angle out of those as well. And they have everything that you can think of as when it comes to the types of sockets and socket bits, from your typical Torx to your security Torx, or basically you have the hole in the middle, so that's your security Torx, to even into your triple squares. So your triple squares, even with security triple squares, and then you even get into reverse Torx sockets. And this is even more critical when we get into actually quality control and milling, to make sure that these E-Torx are actually milled well so that they'll actually fit on those fasteners. We're starting to see more and more of these E-Torx fasteners, even in the domestic cars. And you'll hear some people call them reverse Torx or E-Torx. And why is that? Well, if you take a Torx here, and so your Torx, your reverse Torx, you get it? Basically one goes in the fastener, one goes around the fastener. So anyway, so some people call those E-Torx or reverse Torx. But so they have Torx, they have security Torx, triple square, spline drive, your alternator, specific alternator sockets to take off alternator pulleys. You name it, they have it, from short to deep well, so your shallow well to deep well. Sonic has the whole socket line. I don't know of anything that they don't make. And again, quality is top notch on these. Warranty stands behind that. Again, from experience of multiple years, we've not had any issues. So in a sense, There's their sockets in a hole, kind of what they're made of, how nice they are, and go out and check them for yourself. So hopefully that gave you a little more insight on the Sonic Tool sockets and how well they're made, from the milling to the finish, between the impact sockets and the regular sockets, and even into their socket bits or their socket bit fasteners like their Torx, E-Torx, and so forth. Also note that when you order Sonic tools, yes, you can order them by the individual, if you will, or just kind of a small socket set or a small ratchet set or a small screwdriver set. But really the best way to order Sonic tools, and it's just kind of their shtick, if you will, is by the drawer, or what they call their SFS system or their foam system. And that is, it comes ready to go. You tell them which size drawer you want, from small, medium, large, and even like an extra large, and then what you're wanting in that, and it comes like this. It comes labeled, it comes in place. Basically this shrink wrap, you take the shrink wrap off, set it in your drawer, you're done. There's no thinking about organization, there's no thinking about labeling, there's no hot knives you need to break out or any tracing that you need to do. It comes to your door, ready to stick in your toolbox, already organized. I love that. I love that I can open up these drawers and see that that 10 millimeter is missing, or I can see that my 13 millimeter wrench is gone. You can see where the opening is. You can take a first time user and never had a wrench in their hand, hand it to them and say, hey, will you go put this back in the drawer? Or, hey, will you go get me a 15 millimeter wrench? It's kind of hard not to be able to see it, to either put it back or to pick it up. So that's why we love the Sonic tools. Number one, that they're manufactured very well and they're a really good quality tool. We think they're at a fair price. They're below tool truck price brands. At the same time, are they as cheap as a box store? No, absolutely not. But they're very good quality at a very fair price. So make sure you check them out. They're always running specials, especially if you're a student. Touch base with them. They also have kits from aviation to, say, specific to Mercedes, specific to Volkswagen, Porsche, you name it, to where they had those specialty tools that worked for those specific lines of vehicles. So make sure you check them out at sonictoolsusa.com. Also keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit the bell notification. That's going to notify you when we release future videos. Have a great day, and go and do something nice for someone.